Hi, I'm Nick Wilson, and I'll be presenting my theater and history PowerPoint. Okay, on to the first slide. The first slide, I put a brief timeline of the general history and theater. It breaks down the classical and medieval, Golden Age, Restoration, Neoclassicism, and modern drama, and the times and dates that go with each of those. Moving on to the next slide, I covered the classical and medieval time period of history. This mainly centered around Greece and Rome. Around this time, choral dramas were very popular and on the rise. That was combining music and theater. The Romans borrowed a lot of their parts of theater and such through their works from the Greek. Livus Andronicus produced his first play in 240 BCE in Rome, and he was actually originally from Greece. Around this time, liturgical dramas began in the church. The church was a huge part of society back in that day, and it only made sense that it became such a huge thing since the Catholic Church had such a strong hold on society. Also around this time, para-theatricals became popular because the Romans really appreciated variety and liked a large variety of different things. So that became very popular because it offered many different aspects that they appreciated. During the classical period, Elizabeth I actually banned a lot of the plays to avoid conflict with the Reformation and the church, which hindered the progression of theater, which was not good for that day. On to the next slide. This covers the Golden Age. This occurred at the same time as the Western Renaissance. The Golden Age of Spain arose due to the Catholic stronghold, which just goes back to liturgical plays and such. Around this time, it was questioned that theater more so focused on quantity rather than quality. For an example, the Lupe de Vegra was rumored to have produced over 1,800 different plays, which if you're going to produce that many plays, you can't really focus on your quantity or your quality rather than your quantity of the plays. That compared to American playwright Arthur Miller produced around 22 plays, so a big difference there. During this time, there were many playwrights such as Thomas Kidd and Christopher Marlowe. They each drew from Roman works of Seneca. Kidd produced the Spanish tragedy. It was centered around revenge, and Marlowe developed the blank verse that went on to be used in plays such as Dr. Faustus, The Jew of Malta, and even Edward II. Around this time, Shakespeare began writing in 1590 as well. And on to the next slide. This covers the Restoration. This began after the rise of Shakespeare and his claim to fame. In 1660, perspective was used to create depth. It was utilized in the Italianate staging comedy of manners written by William Wycherley and William Congreve. Lasted the longest, but it ultimately deviated from Restoration. The comedy of manners, it really focused on proper social behaviors of members of different certain classes and such, because they had the class societies. So it really separated groups of people. Perhaps some of the most popular plays of this period came from Molière, who combined neoclassicism, commedia, which was from Spain, and farce. Molière was actually denied his last rites after his play Tartuffe by the Catholic Church, but was eventually granted a Christian burial by King Louis XXIV. Around this time, melodramas became very popular. It was a way for the people of the time period to get away from their social norms and social ills. It was kind of an escape from society for a day or so. You can go and just think about whatever. You don't have to focus on what you have going on in your life. You can just focus on the play, and it offers an escape. On to the next slide. This covers neoclassicism. Neoclassicism developed in France. The Renaissance had many effects on Western drama. Neoclassicism drama was even based on verisimilitude and decorum, three genes, three unities, a five-act form, and a twofold purpose. That was a direct quote from the Explore Theater book. The three unities were time, place, and action. Playwrights of this time period in Neoclassicism, they believed that only plays should be produced around that set period. They didn't believe in focusing on the past or the future. They were more present driven. So that really was seen throughout a lot of Neoclassicism works. On to the next slide. This covers the modern drama. This really arose from realism and naturalism. Henrik Ibsen was known as the father of modern drama. Well-made plays were even constructed as a result of realism, such as Oedipus Rex. That was also part of realism. Naturalism was more of a extreme form of realism. It included work from August Strindberg and David Belasco. August Strindberg wrote Miss Julie, and David Belasco directed The Governor's Lady. And going on from there, symbolism and expressionism were a part of the modern dramas as well. They both emerged as a way to further show emotions and feelings in new ways. They offered a difference than what had been previously seen. Symbolism was used as a way to get across an opinion without directly stating it. It left more interpretation to the audience. The modern drama continued on the next slide. There were also some less influential movements that were falling under the modern drama. This includes Dadaism, Futurism, and perhaps the most influential of the three was the alienation effect. The alienation effect, most people have seen it but don't really know exactly what it is. It's where you're watching a play or some sort of production, and on stage they're really pushing the audience away from what's occurring. They want you to be kind of confused in a way. They don't want you to know what's going on or predict what's going to happen, and then they all bring it back in strongfold at the end to really like tie it all together and make sense at the end. So that's basically what the alienation effect is. Some examples of this were the Mother Courage and her children, as well as the Caucasian chalk circle. Around the time, towards the end of the modern drama period, postmodern plays developed. And this developed with a notion of removing the emphasis on the actual text of the play. It left a lot of work towards reworking of already produced works, and that such. It just really focused on just differences and where they could take it from there instead of actually just focusing on the actual play itself. And finally, I included my works cited page at the end. I cited the Explore Theater book written by Michael O'Hara and Judith Sebesta. And that is all. Thank you for watching.